We're wrapping up another week here on Locked On Blue Devils. JJ Jackson going to be joined by my buddy Ryan Lommen of the Duke Nation. Exciting times for Duke men's basketball. We'll catch up on everything you need to know going into the weekend on today's episode of the program. Let's get right to it.
Hi, everybody. Dick Vitale. Hey, make sure you listen, man, to Locked On Blue Devils with JJ Jackson. He's awesome, baby.
You are Locked On Blue Devils, your daily podcast on the Duke Blue Devils, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome into another episode of the Locked On Blue Devils podcast. My name is JJ Jackson, and it's so great to have you here with us on this Friday, August 4th, 2023. A lot to discuss on today's show in the world of Duke basketball. I'm going to be joined by my very good friend, Ryan Lommen at the Duke Nation on Twitter. If you haven't done so already, please be sure to follow us on Twitter at LO_Blue Devils. Follow me on Twitter at _JJ_Jackson_. Subscribe to our podcast for free on whatever podcast platform that you listen to us. A special shout out to all of our everydayers out there. You know who you are. I really do appreciate folks that make it a point to listen or watch this program every single day. That's right. Catch us on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button to see the episodes each and every day. And now that August has arrived, all across the Locked On College Network, we're at 5 days a week putting out new episodes for you. So if you've got friends who have other favorite teams, make sure they go check out the Locked On Network. We're all trying to build one another up and really do appreciate your support. Without further ado, here on today's program, I am beyond excited to welcome in my good pal, Ryan Lommen. Here we are. The month of August has arrived, Ryan, and man, it feels good knowing that college sports, both football and basketball, are right around the corner.
Yeah, man, it's awesome. And now you got all this drama with the conference realignment stuff going on. And it seems like every hour something is changing there. And I've been interested in following that since the beginning, but it seems like you can't really get a good grasp on things. So even when we're not having active college sports on or major college sports on, there's still drama in the college athletics world. And the conference realignment stuff's been crazy to follow for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you go back to SEC Media Days a few years ago when the first seismic shift in the plan broke at SEC Media Days that Oklahoma and Texas were set to join the Southeastern Conference from the Big 12. That still hasn't happened yet. Like, we still haven't seen the biggest move that kind of started this domino effect across the college sports landscape, and yet it feels like things are just still constantly trying to change, and it's hard to keep up with this time of year.
Yeah, it really is. There's talks like late last night about Oregon moving to the Big Ten, and then it was like at midnight that wasn't going to happen, and now this morning the Pac-12 might be in shambles again. It's just, and then Arizona joining the Big 12. It's crazy, man. And it just seems like the ACC is in their own little bubble. Besides Florida State, for some reason, lashing out saying they want more money, which doesn't make much sense to me based on their performance in the ACC as of late. So, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Thankfully, it won't impact anything this season, it doesn't sound like. So, hopefully once games start being played on the weekends here coming up, we can put that behind us and not focus on that anymore.
And we really haven't spent that much time talking about it here on this program specifically because, as you said, to your point, the ACC not really involved. And then also all this comes down to TV contracts. And in those TV contracts, football drives whatever direction you're trying to go to. And so for a program like Duke, they want to be set up in the best basketball situation as possible. And so that really hasn't kind of impacted this Duke basketball program and what they're trying to accomplish each and every year, regardless of what conference Duke Hoops is in. They're beyond that. They just want to be national champs, as I'm showing off today.
Exactly. And it all comes back down. I debated tweeting it out or not, but it all just comes back down to this has always been about money. It'll always be about money. And whether or not we like to think it's about the student athlete and the fans, it's all about the TV and the money, man. And that's where these schools and conferences are going to go. Don't blame them. It is what it is, but that's just the way this athletics world works these days.
Well, let's talk about the money, man. Let's talk about the money that Duke basketball players thought that they were going to be receiving this past weekend in Chicago with an NIL event that they had put together. And then at the last moment, that opportunity was taken away from them. Still got a chance to have sort of a team bonding trip to the Windy City. But for each of those college players, they're thinking a bit of a payday is coming. And then at the last minute, that didn't happen.
Yeah, it's so typical of the NCAA to have this thing all seem to be laid out, planned. Everything was good to go, and then the week or like the couple days before the trip was supposed to go, they said it was impermissible based on the benefits they were going to receive. I haven't received word as to like the exact reasoning why or what the NCAA deemed illegal, I guess, from an NIL standpoint. But that's the thing. NIL is we've had it now for about a year, I think, and there's still gray area. Not all of the, even the best schools like Duke with general managers and front offices that are taking care of this stuff still don't know all the rules, the ins and outs, what they can and can't do. I mean, you set up a big trip like this that is basically to piggyback on getting your guys some extra cash, and it falls through a couple days before. I mean, that's unacceptable if you're a big organization like the NCAA. So, like you said, it turned out to be it looked like a pretty good team bonding weekend. You got to see a lot of the brotherhood showed up and showed out there, which was really cool. They got to see some of the McDonald's headquarters and learn from some of the alumni over at in Chicago there. So still beneficial, but I'm sure those players still wanted to walk away with a nice little payday at the end of it as well.
Pretty wild and surreal to think about all the Duke alumni that have all these amazing jobs outside of sports because of that Duke degree and kind of the networking that can take place. Talking about that a little bit more, though, in this NIL landscape, we haven't talked about it as much within the last year or so because we're getting a little bit more accustomed to it, and yet there's still a lot of gray area that's out there. Duke has always been a basketball program that's forward thinking, that is ahead of the game, that puts a general manager in place. And now we're seeing so many schools around them sort of do that. But they've also been a little bit slower to jump the gun in a lot of university related kind of NIL branding and that sort of thing, meaning several schools across the country are printing off name, image, and likeness shirts directly for their players with the brands and that sort of thing. Whereas some universities like Duke are mainly just letting you stick to kind of the colors involved and not much else beyond that, because I would imagine Duke is thinking some legislation is going to be here at some point, and let's not go out too far before we get in trouble.
Yeah, and I think I don't have it. This isn't any inside information or anything, but with not setting up like an NIL collective like a lot of the other big programs have, I think from a strategic standpoint, I don't mind it in a business standpoint because you're putting the power with the players and saying, hey, after Duke, like we're still going to be here to support you, but you have to do this stuff on your own with your agents and everything. So when you come to Duke, we're going to set you up with the right people to do that. We'll help you along the way, but this isn't going to be handouts. So this is going to be stuff that you're going to have to take on as your personal brand. You have to put in the work to earn it. And it's just not going to be given to you. And that might hurt them in recruiting unless some other legislation comes out and schools can't be doing this anymore, or what they're doing with the collectives. But I like it. It's forward thinking. You might lose you some recruits, but those recruits that are going to skip out on you because you're not going to hand them a paycheck is something that I'm fine with missing out on those types of recruits. I'm assuming Duke is too. They want guys that are going to be there for wanting to play at Duke and be part of the brotherhood. So I don't mind it. I'm sure, like I said, it could scare off some of the potential recruits, but it's better in the long term for the individuals themselves as well.
This is definitely a lot of speculation. Yeah, you and I are not reporting anything that hasn't been out there or anything like that. And certainly want people to kind of sound off in the comments down below if you're watching us on YouTube, what you think of this NIL situation in the future for Duke men's basketball. Thinking about the NCAA's decision specifically, I was listening earlier this week to the Duke basketball roundup with our good buddies Jason Evans and Donald Wine, who have been on this program numerous times. I thought they brought up a really interesting point. Again, this is not official, but just kind of speculating what's out there. An issue might have been, if you're trying to be at the defense of the NCAA who's still figuring this out, how were these Duke basketball players going to get to Chicago? Duke's basketball program was kind of a part of that in the travel dynamic, in the hotel setup that was already in place. And then the players were just going to have an opportunity with the coaches not there for that event. Again, they cannot be there for an event that Duke had set up, but just kind of speculating things that are out there because you really hadn't seen something like this before. UNC down the road has played some charity games. The Late Night with Roy event kind of was a check for players a season ago under Hubert Davis, but that was in Chapel Hill. There was no extra funds provided by the school to get players from point A to point B. speculation again, but I did think that was an interesting way to think about it. And yeah, if that's the reason, I would love for the NCAA to have just said, that's what our issue is here. How are these players going to get to Chicago? But that's about as good of an idea as I've heard as to why maybe this was shut down.
Yeah, which to me, like, if that's the reason, like, come out and say it, sure, but like, still, just an absolute moronic reason. Like, these guys are already on the team; they're already playing there. They travel private to basically all their games, anyways. Like, this is no different than if they went to a road game and then they did an event off the side. Like, that makes sense. Like, like you said, just come out and say it. But from like a human logic standpoint, like, there's no benefit for Duke that's covering all these expenses. Like, I don't know. Maybe I don't know enough about NIL and how it all works, just like everybody else. But I just think that's an asinine reason for them to not get it. But that's the NCAA, and that's the world we live in right now.
You want to talk about on the court basketball things?
Yes, please. I never even brought it up. So.
Let's get to it. Let's do that after our first time out here on today's program of Locked On Blue Devils. My good buddy Ryan Lommen's here with me on the program, but we first want to tell you about our friends over at LinkedIn. LinkedIn is absolutely what you need to do if you're looking for a new potential hire, because every new hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. Add your job and the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience, so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Moving forward here on today's show, JJ Jackson alongside my pal Ryan Lommen at the Duke Nation on Twitter. Let's talk basketball. Let's talk the guys out there on the court. And it's a good time of year. As we said, here in August, we're getting more and more footage of these players in the gym, in the weight room, really getting an opportunity to put some work in together on the floor, building team chemistry, which, unlike a year ago when Duke went into the season with only 2 returning players, way more continuity amongst this bunch. And it's good to see that what we've seen translating on the practice court.
Yeah, it's funny. I feel like there's certain years where you see these off-season workouts and scrimmages and videos of them working out together, and certain seasons and certain teams give you different vibes. And this vibe feels, I don't have a comparison of maybe 2018 with the Zion team, but just like the chemistry that seems so there already. And you see it off the court too. Like the TikToks, I'm 30 years old, so like I'm not going to be into that, and I'm not going to be dancing around. But like seeing these guys doing it, I find it corny, but
they're having fun. Yeah.
They're having fun. It show like we're in 2023 now, so that's what guys do. Like that's the thing. I no issue with it, but it's really cool to see the older guys getting involved with it too. Like Proctor, I know, has been having fun with it, and Jaden Schutt's been on a few of those. And I guess I'm more so referring to Jared McCain because he's a TikTok star with millions of followers. But to see him and all the freshmen getting along so well, and they seem like it's funny for a lot of the offseason speculation and some changes that happened with Mbako decommitting and all of that. Just how close these guys seem. And there was a lot of talk about, oh, maybe like Foster could go here or there. Like there's too many guards now with Roach coming back, all that stuff. And then you see these guys when they're hanging out together on the court. It's like, what were we even like worried? Like, what were people worried about? These guys are very tight knit. That freshman 4 seems to be a solid core even prior to being here. So that's super cool. And this team just has like, I'm not going to go out there and say like anything crazy, but with the returners and these new guys being tight, the chemistry that comes through these videos seems a little bit higher and better than we've seen in recent years. And that gives me a lot of promise and hope for this team this year.
No doubt about that. I mean, the TikTok boys are one thing, because I love that Proctor has kind of immersed himself with the freshmen. That's what you love to see.
Yep.
This has happened. And Proctor, of course, is very close in age, having reclassed and kind of come a year early to school. But we're seeing a whole lot of Proctor, Jared McCain, and Sean Stewart, and then the rest of the team kind of chiming in from time to time, which is great. And then recently, Josh Cox pointed this out last week on the program, but Duke themselves just posted a highlight video a week and a half ago that I believe at last check was still kind of pinned at the top of their Twitter profile, of everyone on the team literally just hyping up other people in conditioning and weight room workouts, like nothing to do with basketball, but the entire team all together hyping each other up. Some dancing involved, yes, at the end of workouts and that sort of thing. But like, what? The energy just looks so contagious and so fun right now for that Duke team.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing is it doesn't look forced. Like, it doesn't seem like it's this awkward cheering.
Sure.
Like, I feel like in past years and even last year's videos, I went back and looked at them, and not that they were super cringy or anything, but it's like that just doesn't look the same as it does this year. And I think it has a lot to do with the four guys coming back, or the four main guys coming back, and then you still have like Ryan Young coming back, Blake's, all like the camaraderie is already there, and then you bring in four guys who are really close, and the egos they seem to left their egos at the door if they had one, and just it doesn't seem forced and awkward like some other seasons do. And that's not a bad thing. That just means that we're further along right now in that chemistry building process than we were in other years. And I think like just looking back at past seasons, it correlates closer to like that Zion, Trey, RJ, Cam year. And you could even say when Roach and Mark Williams came back and went like that year as well, I feel like a little bit, you got that vibe there, but it's really cool to see the guys seem like they support each other a lot. And from what I've been hearing from some people, a lot of guys are impressing, and Shire's going to be put in a tough spot this year when it comes to building out a rotation, which is a good problem to have.
Great problem to have, and something that we'll continue to speculate in the days and weeks to come, which is absolutely awesome. So looking at the upcoming weeks with Duke basketball, what are you most attentive to? Is it a move? Is it this coaching staff coming together? Is it recruiting, a possible commit on what is the one thing that you're really excited to figure out what happens? For a while, it was who's going to be this next assistant coach, and we finally figured that one out. But what are you trying to figure out over these next few weeks?
Yeah, I think two things that stand out for me, and maybe you already got approved for contact because I've seen Flip in some of the videos, but just I'm very interested. And they've been very open on social media about his hip surgeries, and I say that as in like they call it out, like new hip flip or two hip flip, whatever. Like it's funny, and like Duke's not normally transparent about injuries. Normally they don't give updates like that. They're not even updates. They're just like they're acknowledging the injury and that he's back. And so like continuously seeing him improve and seeing what he looks like. And obviously their videos, we're only getting highlights, so you don't want to take a lot out of it, but I'm very much looking forward to seeing him in more of the videos. And then I'm very interested in the next couple of weeks and months of recruiting. Duke just made the top 10 for 2024 5-star VJ Edgecombe. They've made the top 4 or 6, I forget, for Tyler Betsy in 2024. Dylan Harper seems like he's on the edge of a commitment, which I'm not as confident that it's going to be Duke for him, but that's one that Duke fans are very familiar with. And then obviously Cooper Flagg took an unofficial this week, which stunned everybody, and it got Duke fans super hyped up. And there's some reclass rumors there for he's a 2025, could potentially move to 2024. And so those are like what I'm looking at right now is the 2024 class starting to come together, because a lot of guys like to make those decisions before their senior season starts. And so that's going to be in the next couple of weeks to the next couple of months. So very interested to see where those drop. And then obviously Flory Badunga, is that how you say, is it Badunga?
Yeah, you're good.
Right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Never heard his name pronounced before. So yeah, that's another one that seems like it could be coming out in the next couple of weeks. And from what I'm hearing, Duke's in a really good spot there, but obviously things can change last minute. So a lot of exciting things for Duke this upcoming season happening in the next couple of weeks. And then obviously for the next few years as well.
Yeah. I mean, 2024 specifically talking a lot about, Cooper Flagg is a conversation in himself, but Badunga specifically, and then what's to come with another kind of big in Patrick Ngaba, who's at St. Paul the Sixth. That's kind of been the Duke recruiting pipeline with Jeremy Roach and Trevor Keels. And, by the way, Darren Harris, who's also in the 2024 class, who's also probably looking at his teammates saying like, yeah, you want to come to Duke. I think that decision probably will be swayed by what commitment Badunga makes, but who knows? You can never have enough talent. Is the way Duke basketball likes to operate, and I want them to always continue that way.
Absolutely. Yeah. And with the Badunga thing, and I look at where we're at now with our guard play, where we seem like we're jammed up in the guard spot. Well, we're going to have a good problem of having enough options there. And so we can make the case for the big men in 2024 as well. So I'm on board with both.
One more timeout, and then we'll continue to or start to wrap up our program today here of Locked On Blue Devils. Locked On Blue Devils here today is brought to you by our friends at eBay Motor. For a championship team, it's all about making sure every player is a perfect fit, and it's definitely the same when it comes to your vehicle. Every part needs to fit just right. So the next time you need parts and accessories, head to eBay Motors. With eBay's guaranteed fit, you can be sure every part you need fits right the first time around. Just add your ride to My Garage and look for the green check to know that the part will fit, or you get your money back. Because just like in sports, confidence is the name of the game when you shop on eBay Motors. And with over 122 million parts to choose from, you'll be back in the game in no time. After all, it's easy to bring home a win when the right parts are guaranteed. You can get the right parts, the right fit, and the right prices on ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. eBay guaranteed fit, only available to U.S. customers, eligible items only, exclusions apply. Found a few moments here on today's episode of Locked On Blue Devils. JJ Jackson alongside my pal Ryan Lommen at the Duke Nation on Twitter. Promote your work, Ryan. Go ahead and do that for me, please.
Yeah, I appreciate that. You can find me at the Duke Nation on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. TikTok will be picking up here in the next few weeks with the season getting kicked off. And then hopefully more work will be posted on the season ticket / Duke Nation there as well this season, hoping to get to a couple, maybe a game or two. It's hard for me being in Minnesota to travel all the time and get to a bunch of games, but they do play in Chicago this year, which would be fun. But yeah, man, that's where you can find me. And surprisingly, content this summer has been pretty easier to do than most seasons. Duke's been doing a good job of putting stuff out. There's been recruiting news. So like, I feel like every day, or at least every other day, I am actually doing it or making a tweet and not just retweeting people all summer long, like it's kind of been in the past. So yeah, as active as I've ever been on all of those. So I'm excited.
You've had a lot of things to discuss this week. And of course, starting with Cooper Flagg, kind of catching everybody off guard by making a visit to Durham. From Maine, of course, earlier this week, we talked with Isaac Trotter, who did a remarkable profile of Cooper Flagg and his family. And just, it's been since 1969 that a player has been drafted into the NBA from the state of Maine. It's just unheard of that you've got this level of talent. And of course, Cooper Flagg now plays high school ball in Montverde. So looking at the United States of America, traveling down from Maine to Florida, Cooper Flagg's like, why not just stop in North Carolina on the way down to start the upcoming school year, see his former high school teammate in Sean Stewart, and take an unofficial visit to Duke. How about that, man? Talk about some content for us this week. Yeah,
that was a pleasant surprise. I mean, he's just one of those guys where like he just seems like he's Duke. Like like he looks like Leitner. He plays like with that chip on his shoulder like Leitner did. Like it's just everything points to Duke. And I'm not saying it's like a lock or anything. He just like everything like he looked like he could have joined Sean Stewart on the team this year with the gear he was wearing. He just looks like a Duke player. And it's in the way he plays, he'd be perfect. He'd be the villain at Duke, and the villain, but people would be super interested and like to see him play. I think it'd be a different type of villain, not like as much hate, but more just like, damn it, Duke's got another really good white player that can do all this stuff, and just like prototypical Duke guys. So very excited for that, man. I don't want to get too far ahead, but sounds like there's a decent chance he's playing in college next year, and hopefully it's in a Duke uniform.
All right, last thing, we're talking about kind of camps in summertime, and we saw, of course, earlier Cooper Flagg himself, Mark Mitchell, Caleb Foster, some guys at Jason Tatum's camp a few weeks ago, and now most recently, to catch people up to speed, haven't had as much time to sort of break down this, but Jared McCain, Jeremy Roach at the CP3 Elite Camp. Just what are you expecting from those guys in particular going into this upcoming season?
Yeah, I am very much interested to see if there's any talk about how Roach performs at that camp. There's a lot of really good players there. I know McCain had a video come out last night from Jonathan Givney at ESPN and Draft Express, and just praising McCain for his size and his ability. He was going up against guys like Reese Beekman from Virginia. And so seeing him kind of go up against good talent, especially talent that he's going to play against next season, and a very good defender. It's cool to see. And I'm patiently waiting and hoping that we get like a Roach video and a Roach like, oh, Jeremy Roach improved a lot, and it's nice to see. And that's kind of what I'm hoping for. I know those are all, you can take that with a grain of salt when you're getting these guys saying that someone's looking good, because you never know what agents and stuff are in their ear trying to promote their dude. But just want to see something of Roach, some positivity around him in this camp. And then also from who I can hear it from within Duke and how he's performed and improved this offseason, because him improving at least a little bit will take this team to a level that I think could get them to that Final Four and championship. And not saying they can't if he doesn't improve, but I think he's going to get a lot of minutes, being the most veteran guy in the team from a Duke standpoint. Obviously Ryan Young a little bit older, but either way, I think if they can get some good contributions from him this year, it can take this team to a different level.
Agreed. Super excited for year 4 of Jeremy Roach. On the hype train there. It's always fun to watch these guys in the Duke uniform for so many seasons, and then to get to see them come back and have that special senior year. Absolutely looking forward to it. Ryan, this has been a pleasure. It's awesome that the month of August is here, because that means the frequency in our visits will likely pick up with the season right around the corner, and I'm certainly really thrilled with that. Thanks for stopping by the show today.
Absolutely, man. Anytime. It's always a blast, and we'll do this again soon.
All right. That's my pal Ryan Lommen at the Duke Nation on Twitter. Give him a follow over there and go support his work. That's going to do it for our show today. That's going to do it for this week on Locked On Blue Devils. As always, go Duke. I'll talk to you on Monday. My name is JJ Jackson. Thank you and good day.